Call the meeting back to order. We will go on to correspondence. Moved by Chairman Jackson, seconded by Chris Olmsted. Be resolved that Council of the Township will receive the following correspondence 1 through 8. We have number 1 on the correspondence, Ottawa River Energy Solutions, the report from Bernie Tracy. I'd like to introduce Bernie Tracy, our representative. Everybody has a chance to read the report. Any questions? Councilman McLaughlin.
This is the honorarium that's being given. Is that being split? Or does it just go to the representative that's on the Ottawa River Power Corporation?
Apparently, just that's my report though.
I'm sorry. Well, I'll wait for that's the name. Okay? Because before it was never split. It was always the same.
This is the first time I'm sure that anybody on Council of Ottawa Region was ever told to serve on that committee or those committees. I chose to do that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I did get knowledge. Okay, and I understand that. It's not something new. It's not there.
Okay.
In previous councils. But the only thing I'm saying is that previous councils, the previous representative, we never did this before. That's all. That's where I'm coming from.
And to if one person is not on both committees, one person got paid for 2 committees. And in this case, one person is it's spread over the honorarium is to equal 1/6.
I'm not quite following that statement.
Each person is paid an honorarium to that committee by that corporation. He's on the energy solution. I'm on the board to the principal. So I get $4,500 for a year honorarium. He gets $4,500. Well, me on both of them, I would be paid for both of them, but not as much if I sit on 2.
Okay, well that answers your question.
Okay, thank you.
I'm happy with that answer. So that's the way it works.
We're up one more issue that could come up. There is absolutely no promise to the Township of Whitewater Region for any committee member that sits that we'd pay 0, including do not pay mileage or any expensive meetings or anything else. That would all be by the corporation of the Ottawa River Corp or Ottawa River Energy Solutions. And they are governed by the Energy Board and have no choice in what they do in that aspect. So we will go back to Bernie's report. Are there any questions? Councillor Olmsted.
You've had the fellow speaker. Of course, I am interested in increasing revenue generation and expenditure reduction. So, but it comes to a good question. I don't really see any answer. So, is that a question you want to ask?
If you're interested in moving forward, there'll be more detailed presentation from the CEO. The revenue vote, lots of reductions that we needed. They don't make us to do that many times. So they could be paid off for what we did.
Christine, go ahead and then I'll follow.
Just think of this to bring you up to speed. Our team right now we're working on a research project looking at Local Authority Services, LAS, and its program and the way it's put together and funded. And the second part of their report will be the Ottawa River Energy Solutions, again, to bring you a full report on the two options and costing to the township regarding replacing our streetlights with LED. And at that point, once staff has presented their report, we may be directed further to have presentations, or I'll be in touch with you for further information. But there is a staff report forthcoming in spring on this issue.
Yes. Sorry, so what does that statement reflect? An increasing revenue generation. So
In relation to state or third revenue stuff right now, ORTC and ORES, you're getting dividends.
okay.
So you wouldn't get that as far as I understand.
Okay. Yeah.
And the reduction is went to like
That's where the expenditure reduction comes into play.
in terms of hydro and maintenance costs. And we held a debenture for legal costs and repairs.
Okay. I understand.
The reduction in expenditures in approximately 5 years' time.
Right. Okay.
So how cautious is it?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Ernie, but there would be no outlay from,
Because you don't want to go.
because we're shareholders in the corporation, so there would be no outlay to do that
Your own
project.
You own 100% of the company. So I really don't see why you want to go someplace else.
Councillor Jackson.
And that would be for all streetlight areas, even though there are hydro ones, doesn't matter. Perfect. Thank you.
That's contracted at the moment all over anyway.
Yeah, and the reason we had LAS made a presentation to the Clerk and Treasurers Association at the December meeting that Whitewater Region hosted across the street at Illusion. And then Marcia and I started to have a conversation about there could be significant savings to be found, and I tasked Marcia with finding out more information about how their program works. And then the mayor brought it to my attention, and I never really understood what Ottawa River Energy Solutions, all of the services they offered. And then I saw your report, and I realized that, there's another part to this. So that's why we'll be gathering everything up and bringing it to you in a report so that you have all the data.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ernie. Okay. So now the Ottawa River Power Corporation report from their house on that election. We kind of covered it. Nope. Okay. You can go here, much better river information and questions or comments. Snowgoers, volunteers, appreciation, dinner, full. Must be fun. I think that was self-explanatory. Community reward for food and information and funds. Any comments there? Yes.
Practically, let's not go. It's an invitation to council, or is this advising us of the
I'm not sure until it arrives in mail or by email, I guess. Oh, I see, okay.
Well, but we're landowners, that's probably why we got it. As a township. Okay.
If you read down, please accept this invitation to.
And it has to be yesterday.
Well, then I guess you're a little late. But there was two.
They're making sure if we two people want to go and they put their name in first thing tomorrow or whatever, don't think there would be any indication that they wouldn't take it. I'm going because I'm a volunteer, but that's going anyway. Any other comments? Premier's award for big food affluence. My comment is should we be suggesting not making something anything as a 250? I would like to see from our township a couple of things going forward. We have some seniors here that work awfully hard in different groups and whatnot. And I would like to see us put something forward. If they're selected, there is a little reward to them. I don't think it's anything big or whatever, but it's nothing else. They get a plaque. But they get recognition for doing what they're doing best, and that's volunteering. I would like to see some element in a couple of seniors from our municipality. And don't everybody suggest one at the same time. Terry. Oh, there's God. There's Bob would be a big guy. Oh, he's already done it. You can't do it twice out of rule. We have several nominations comes to mind. We have oh my goodness. Don Rapswell is another one that comes to mind. Let's select 3. I want 3 nominations. Does somebody give them a I'll make one.
Who puts on the play every year down at the Ag Hall? Who organizes that? Yeah, that's a pretty big production. Of many players, yeah.
Yes. Kathy Williams.
Williamson.
Kathy Williams. Yes. But what I'm thinking is we get 3 nominations and choose one. Put names in that poll about. I'm going to go ahead with Richie Barrington, and the third man will be Don Rappo. So, all those in favor of Don Rappo? There you go. Don Rappo put forward that aspect. Because I don't want to use that. Okay?
I think you probably have to outline, and I think the number of years that he's had on council, number of years that he's been involved in sports. I'm certain that, he has been involved in the community for all of his life. From the time he started playing sports, coaching, to being involved in council. I think he certainly is a well-intended individual for this award.
Councilor McLaughlin first.
I was going to add to that. He's about 30 years as a sitting member. I think maybe, I'm not sure. I know he's not a charter member, but I think he joined maybe the next year. That could be 35 years or so. I'm not positive on that. Over 30.
Councilor, yeah?
Olmsted.
Can't get it right. Don't expect me.
Just be careful here. Say he was different are individuals who, after age 65, have enriched the social, cultural, or civic life of the community.
Yeah, he's not over 60. They've still been very active.
If we're putting out a nomination,
Oh, yes.
and we're typing up, just have to be careful that we word it that
Yeah.
we're suggesting it's from age 65 to whatever age he's at now.
So I will take it from that when we instruct staff to go ahead and write up the rate hearing.
And the recommendation that staff to get some background information. I know that there was a book done up recently, and I'm sure she has a lot of information that can go in that nomination.
That is correct. That book is detailed right from day one, like way back, growing up on the farm, right through to the end of his political career. So it'll be, it's full of everything, dates and everything.
Excellent.
So I'll give that to you, Christy.
Councilor Paul.
Does the mayor have any issue if I give this to Councilor Rieger to second?
Absolutely.
No, it should be appropriate.
I think Councilor Paxton should be nominated. Just we can look. Moved by Chair Paxton, seconded by Councilor Rieger, to be involved the council of the township of Whitewater Region direct staff to submit a nomination for former Donald Rathwell for the Ontario Senior of the Year Award. All benefits nor discussion. All votes in favor. Opposed, if any. Yeah, okay, good. Carried. Okay. I don't think we need to go into where the meeting was time to have any questions.
Well, they are looking for people to volunteer.
Depends on about it.
To be honest,
I haven't heard a fear of water. We need a big. I was only too happy with that. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Your grasping, Terry.
Well, what's done gets done. Just
We go ahead to unfinished business. Moved by Chair Lindsay Paxton, seconded by Chris Olmsted, be resolved that the council of Whitewater Region files correspondence. Wait. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Discussion carried. How do you want to go straight into the budget continued? Okay. Reese Miller. Hi.
Yeah. Could I point something out, and I'm wondering when the appropriate time would be to discuss it, and it's probably not going to be next, but should we change the schedule so that we don't make a lady sit there for 2 hours on the level of variance, whatever, just for doing that? Is there a way to change it? Because we've got the moment as well, the night of awarding the contract, and then
bylaw, because right now we have the format of our agenda as part of the procedural bylaw. And we do bylaws in a certain part of the agenda. It's your procedural bylaw, so certainly we should change it so that when there's public meetings dealing with planning issues, that could be first up as soon as you get into your regular council meeting. That could be the first order of business.
oh.
Christine, thank you. Thanks, Christine.
We could make a motion to move it ahead at the time of the agenda. There's people here that, we feel that, because sometimes people don't stay, some people leave, or there may be bylaws that don't have anybody attending at all. So I think on a day-to-day basis, we could probably move it ahead or not. That rather than choosing procedural bylaw again.
Councilor McLaughlin.
I just going from past practice, I think exactly what Councilor Jackson has said has been done before, and it may be something that we should try and remember to do. I know I forget about it. I just go up my page, but it's something Councilor Jackson has done, which is actually just exactly what we should be doing.
Let's just move forward with that on an individual basis. We are going to stay. We will. Put them back on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the projector gets a little sharper as it comes up.
Okay, so we welcome you to the second sewer budget presentation. In front of you, we've provided you with documentation here for the budget, as well as some sheets that are different colors. So I'll go through the budget and I'll tell you what sheet to look at. I know for some of you've missed it last time, so I'm hoping to just kind of give a brief recap and then kind of go into it. But certainly stop and ask any questions, and if you have along the way, okay? Okay, so just to recap a little bit, last meeting we discussed how we use the 2013 reserves to balance the 2014 sewer budget. We discussed some of the major purchases that were done in 2014, such as the air conditioning unit. We discussed that there is a deficit at the end of the 2014 year in sewer of $9,872.90. We discussed a little bit about the Aqua background. We talked about major projects for the 2015. That one being said, that's the Cast in Place project on Highway 17. Major expenses for 2015. We touched on those, and those are basically coming from Aqua, as well as the Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the environmental. Yes. And then we just showed you then on the background then on the sewer rates throughout all the years. Just to recap here as to how we got to the deficit, started the beginning of the year 2014 with a deficit of $41,978, and then we had a surplus of $32,105.38. So that leaves us at the end of the year of a deficit of $9,872.90. No, that's the overall. That's on that's the revenue minus the expenses. That's the bottom line. And just in general discussions, we had talked about taking out all of the salary that we allocated to the sewer department for the environmental services manager. We have now added that back in. We added the Cast in Place project to be estimated at $135,000 back into the budget. And then originally we still kept out, we had put aside $25,000 put aside in reserves, but we have deleted that out, and we've kept that out in this proposed budget as well. It was discussed with council here that they want a true picture of what it costs to run the sewer plant here in Caucus. So we're trying to provide you with the big numbers so we have a better understanding. Okay. Now, just to recap, I'm not sure some of the new council here. We do already have a sewer debenture. We debentured $120,090.98 in 2011, and that is to be over 20 years at a rate of 3.59%. So for 2015, we will have to pay a total of $8,467.46 towards that debenture. Sure. Yeah, Infrastructure Ontario. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It organizes me, sorry, that they can lend you the money, but they can't give you money. They don't.
So what was that debenture? Can you tell me what that was?
Well, we had looked, and it was 2011 now. We were wondering if that was for,
2011 is when I just got into this, and I recall no major projects in 2011 for that sum of money. So I have no idea what that debenture is for.
What I'd like to recommend is that staff will go back and look through the records and come back to you with the information about what exactly that dollar value is.
now to recap on the sewer reserve, this is a little bit of an eye-opener. 2014, we had just a little over $139,000 in reserve. To balance the sewer budget for 2014, we had to pull out a little over $95,000, and then we also pulled out a little over $33,000 to balance the water budget for 2014. We had zero contributions to reserves in 2014, and that left an ending balance of $10,746. Now, because we have a deficit going into the 2015 budget year in sewer, what we would propose is to use $9,872.90 out of this reserve to offset the deficit. Okay, and then that would leave a very small amount into reserves. Now, we're just going to go, this is kind of the way that we had done it. If everybody can just grab their pink sheet, okay. Now on this, it describes, it goes through all of our GL numbers, all of our descriptions. So this is basically on top of your revenue, and the whole other section is all your expenses, okay. So if we keep our rate staying the same, and our current rate, you can see above, right there, is for residential is $125.80 quarterly, okay, and it just shows you all the different rates for the different descriptions. If we kept that the same, then overall we will need $186. Sorry, $240.56. We have to fund that money to balance the budget, okay? So basically this slideshow just recaps that, okay? Now, just so that I wanted to point out, which maybe we didn't point out last time, is we've already done one sewer billing in 2015. So right now, we're actually having to make up just the second, third, and fourth quarter billing, okay? So we can't really go back, so we're going to go forward. So the next rate that we want to talk to and that we're going to propose to you, if we take the blue sheet now, okay, I know these numbers are high, but we've provided you with the cost that it is to run the sewer. So we did an increase of 15%. Okay, so basically, for Dave, if you want to know, that's 15%, then we add on to all those rates, okay, those original rates, which were $125.80, say for Cobden Residential. So we just added 15% onto that rate, okay, and look over, it says estimated revenue for quarters 2, 3, and 4 with a 15% increase, okay?
I may just add one point then. Contrast those dollar values with what you see on page 7 for what our current rates are of $125.80, Cobden Residential, etc. So as we work through these various scenarios, there's your baseline number.
balance of year Q2, 3, and 4, the 238.
Yeah.
What was the revenues for Q1? Do we know that?
Yeah, we just put it up there. Let me go back.
68.
Yes. Now, if you look, Chris, if you look on your sheet, on your blue sheet now, you'll see on the top, under the revenue, you'll say the actual to date. Okay, so that's just the user billing, and then there's also meter billing. Now, the meter billing, we're going to leave that. I've discussed that already. We're going to leave that rate. That billing gets done in April. So we're going to leave that rate just as we did for the first water or sewer billing rate. So we do our meters differently at a different time because then we wait for the actual when they actually get read. Okay. So with a 15% increase, this is kind of just quickly just shows you kind of where the revenue is coming from. Obviously, the majority of the revenue is coming from your Cogston residential properties. And then to summarize your blue sheet, basically, even with a 15% increase rate, with the proposed expenses, still gives us a shortfall of $151,393.35. Now, just so you are aware, this is bare bones. This is just to operate, like all the expenses that you see there, it's just to operate the sewer plant. Okay, it's what is required to run the sewer plant. We try to take out, and we just can't. Okay, the only thing that may change is if we don't get the funding for the project, and then maybe we won't have to do the phase 1 and the phase 2, which is estimated at $50,000. So. Yes. Yeah. Every year we're losing that? Well, this year, if we left, like if we increased the rate by 15% and everything was spent, okay, like we're going to go, we would still need to find $151,393 to balance the budget.
One point that might make it a little clearer for you, Dave. We discussed at the last meeting that there was it 7 or 8 years, Steve? 7 years. There was a 7-year period where there was no increase in the sewer rate. So we're making up now for those 7 years.
The one thing that my neighbor Dave, sorry. The one thing to keep in mind, they had $210,000 here for Highway 17 and the Aqua and phase 1 and phase 2. So it's, you almost have to look at it year by year.
It's my understanding, and did we not just mention that, just clarify for me, we brought in money from the water treatment budget to go into sewer, is that what I heard? And did that come up last meeting too? There was some money moved over?
It came from the sewer reserve and went into the water to help balance the water budget.
I'll get to my order. All right.
Keep in mind, when we get through the budget and all the numbers, we're working not with a capital level, but we're working with what is deemed to be today the requirement to be safe as we see it for 2015. By the same token, in order to be able to move forward, we have to look at several things in maintenance and so forth that may have to suffer in the partiality instead of the full amount that is being proposed. So these numbers are the numbers that we have to face in reality, but the end number could be adjusted slightly. Thank you, Caroline.
think, were you here? No? At the last budget meeting, we did go over with regard to the miscellaneous items, 75,000, 15,000, and Steve outlined what those items were and why the request was there, and those items seem to be justified, and that's why those in each sheet, those numbers stay the same, the expenses have stayed the same, so the only change is with regard to the revenue, and then obviously as you increase your revenue with regard to the increase in rates, your need to balance the budget goes up or down accordingly. So I don't know that there's anything further that can be cut from. I think we made that kind of process that anything as expenses, and I don't know if council will agree or disagree with me, but I thought we had kind of determined that those expenses were justified at the time, and we were just more looking at the rates now.
To its proposal to do camera and framework for the system. That was, I don't see on that, didn't pick up that was in your proposal, Steve.
It's in there.
And that's what I'm talking about. Little things like that could be from 20 to 10 to 5, because we do know that parts of the system need to be correct. So we could cut some expenses back here, because what we're doing is actually for the first time in 15 years we're initiating a long overdue program, but we just may not be able to step into it full.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was only for 20%. Was it not, to do the camera? Only 20% of the lines?
That's correct. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money. Anyway, that's at some point. Before any luck. We're still not in that. You go ahead, Councillor.
We're working with the staff on the new sewer treatment plant proposal. So I know we have about $75,000 total, or I guess 50,000 for the phase 1 and 2.
Correct. We're continuing monitoring. I budgeted $10,000 for continued flow monitoring into the sewage plant. $50,000 is an approximate cost to complete phase 1 and 2 of a municipal class environmental assessment, a process I started back in 2014. If the funding is not acquired, and hopefully we will know soon, then it's council's decision whether they want to continue with that municipal class environmental assessment.
What's the drop for date on that?
There is no, for the municipal class environmental assessment, it's a long, drawn-out process. It'll take a couple of years.
What target date is that?
I believe it was 2000 and, I think, I have to look back in my records, Councillor Olmsted, but I believe it's municipal class environmental assessment, all the approvals, public consultation, pre-engineering, you're looking at probably 4 years.
4 years. So it's possible that could be delayed.
Absolutely.
Well, the thing is with the budget, it's hard because you don't know if you're going to spend the money or if you're going to go over your budget. So we have to find a rate that pays for the service, and that's what we're trying to do. So if you start a year off already at a deficit, which we are right now, you're already in the hole. So you have to, and then with projects come up, expenses that come up, you have to be, we hope not, and we're trying to get to a point where if we just increase it, small amounts after this to maybe 1 to 2%, maybe then we can start putting money into reserves.
Steve?
Thank you. I don't believe sewer always ran a deficit. To my knowledge, it did not. Money spent on sewer in the past was bare bones minimum, with keeping the plant running and packing it. No money put in the reserve, no money for surprises, and it has basically stayed under the radar for 36 years. In 2011, when I started, probably the worst thing that happened to the village of Hoffman was me bringing these issues to the forefront because they have to be addressed. So I've identified things over the last 4 years that have stayed under the radar, and sewer budget in 2011 was $262,000. In 2012, it was $252,000. In 2013, the budget was $296,000. So I started in 11, so it progressively climbed. And then in 2014, our first full year of having an operating authority, their budget came in at $263,000 with capital expenditure forecasted. So, make no mistake, this is not because I have an operating authority. This is because I am bringing these issues to the table, like infiltration and a 36-year-old plant. And quite honestly, if I was still down there managing the day-to-day operations, I would be coming in with a much higher budget proposed than Aqua would be. Believe you me, I would be.
So we look at the 2014 budget, we would have to factor in the actual deficit. You'd have to increase 328 by $41,853. Just like we still have to put in the deficit of $9,800 into the expenses. We've showed the revenue, but we haven't showed the expense. So you still need to increase your expenses by $10,000 this year to balance your budget. Otherwise, you're budgeting for a $9,800 deficit.
Okay, we can make those changes. Okay, so we'll keep that in mind there, the $10,000. Now, if you want to grab the, I guess the orange sheet. Okay, this is, well, I'm sure that's here, but a 30% rate increase. Okay, it's just, I know, the expenses will be the same, the revenue on cost changes obviously, and that would bring a shortfall then to $79,709.04. Now, just a little bit of a discussion here. So we know that even with a 30% increase, we still have a shortfall of almost $80,000. Now, we could take out the $81,000 out of the budget for the Cash in Place project, and then we could debenture that amount. Now, I just got a rate, last week was a different rate, it was 1.46, today was 1.38 over 5 years. If we do take that out, your yellow sheet, if you look at your yellow sheet, this is what it would look like. Now, a debenture then, if we debenture after July 1st, then we don't have a payment in 2015. But if we do debenture the $81,000 over 5 years at a serial rate, we start our first payment then in January 2016.
If I may make one comment, in our draft audited statements, our commitment to principal and interest on board 15 is $287,000, and we just received our FIR, our financial information return, and the amount that we are, give me 1 second here. The amount that our repayment limit annually for principal and interest is $1,276,000. So we have borrowing capacity yet of almost $1 million, just to give you the bigger picture for the year. So at the moment, according to the draft audit statement, we are on the hook, principal and interest, for the debt that we have right now of $287,000. And our debt repayment limit, according to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs, is $1,276,000.
Councillor Johnson.
Is that inclusive of general water, sewer, all of it, or is it just for general? The 260, I know the debt capacity is for the whole township, but the 260, does that include the sewer borrowing at this time? Is there any other borrowing in?
Talking the 287,000 and not
Whatever.
the 60?
Yeah.
Okay. That is for the, I believe, for all three of them, yes.
So it's all
there.
inclusive?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Very good.
Yeah, that's the net long-term liability, and that is what. So, like,
Ray Miller.
If we put the rates up a little bit, or even pass them lower at the end of the year, we've got this big shortage. So that means the next year with that great big number in the deficit. So there's no putting off huge increases. Did anybody disagree with that? Like pretty huge?
Councillor Johnson.
We can't budget a deficit. We have to budget a balanced budget. So there is no choice but to increase the rates.
And there's no
and I don't think it's wise to put any sewer costs on any ratepayer that doesn't benefit from sewer.
So the things do, they've been going up since 2011. Get it easy with what's going on. Just kidding. But we couldn't put the rate to cover that number. I mean, that would be ludicrous thing. Because what we sort of listed, like, we could probably make a case saying, hey, the base is extra, hey, the gas project extra. But from what he did, so it's going to be the same next year. It's going to be 2 or 3 more on the list. Yeah, I know. I'm making your case. Yeah. So what would the rates go up? What would the rates go up if we balance this budget? We can see that. We can get the deficits from them big increases.
Yeah, sorry, the rates, if they went up?
What if we covered this budget? Did we see that? What the rate would go?
Yes.
Totally? We covered the whole budget?
Yes, right here.
Is that it?
Now that is, so I still have the cap now for the $10,000. So it will change a little bit there. I have to figure out maybe the 35.
We had that. Councillor Holmes.
Terry, just to your question, like, there are things that can be done in here. For instance, we're talking about a new sewer plant in 4 years. You know, do we need $50,000? I think those are the tough questions to be asked, right? And, you know, maybe we need to put the picture for the $1,000 that I don't think we can go to the ratepayer and say that would double what I was I don't know if we can do that either.
But Chris, just so that you're aware, that $50,000, that project will need to be completed if we do get that funding. Oh, okay. Okay. I thought, okay. Got you. Okay. Okay.
I guess like Mayor Johnson suggested, would it be prudent to take out the project with regards to the cammering at this time? Can we wait a year, or is it absolutely necessary that we do the 20% of the cammering at this time? I think it's prudent that we debenture, and whether or not, and we put the $10,000, the $9,800 in from the deficit, and then do we take out that project and at what cost, Steve? And is there any other projects that can come out of that $75,000 for miscellaneous that you think can wait until next year?
Yes. Moved by Chair, seconded by Chris Olmsted, be resolved that the Council of the Township of Whitewater Region agrees to attend the meeting at 9 p.m. curfew until 10 p.m. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any, carried. Go ahead, Chairman.
Do you have an answer? Yeah, good.
The $15,000, or sorry, the $10,000 from monitoring is part and parcel of the continuation of phase 1 and 2 of the municipal class environmental assessment. It all goes hand in hand, and I have continued it into this spring, and I told our consultant to keep going till I'm told otherwise. So it can be stopped. That's one. I believe that was what we were referring to with the cammering. Yeah.
Flushing and cammering go hand in hand.
Now, for some of you that were here last meeting, we discussed all of we'll put in like a security fund or an emergency amount. They put in $7,500 for it was for equipment repairs and maintenance.
No, actually, it's in miscellaneous.
Oh, for the $15,000, yeah. So out of that $15,000 says Aqua, $7,500 of that is just in case something happens at the plant that they need to fix, like an emergency. So they may not use that, you know, or they could triple it. You budget. You not budget for that.
The possibility, if I'm wrong, is if we don't put that in and it right, that will drive us to a deficit. But if it doesn't happen, it's like going to the casino, everything we want to do. It's a gamble, but it might be an affirmative gamble.
We could take that out, and at the end of the year, it could be deficit. It could balance the budget at the end of the year. It's a budget number. I mean, we could have a deficit in any of our budgets. And if it is just for emergency, I would be in favor of removing it now to keep it from going past the 30% increase. You know, it may be 31%, you know, because now we're covering about $2,800 sort of thing, or $2,300, and instead of the full $9,800, and leave the other in place.
Leave
the 10,000, because we are going to need that documentation for the new plant at some point, and that's what I would suggest. And then if we do have a deficit, well, the increase won't be as drastic next year, unless it's a huge deficit because a lot of things went wrong. But if we're just looking at the $7,500, then that will be less of a deficit than it was this year. Okay. It's just a suggestion.
Thank you. On that point of the $10,000 for the monitoring, that's part of the environmental class, the municipal environmental class assessment. It is imperative information that we have, that we gather from that, because we have, and always have, had massive because of infiltration issues into the plant. In 2014, the water treatment plant treated about 177,000 cubic meters of water. So if you think water going into people's homes, it should be the same coming out. The sewage plant treated about 249,000. So the sewage plant treating probably, it's safe to say, 71,000 cubic meters of rainwater a year. So this is important information to compile.
That's very expensive to treat that, and we need to address that. Even our upgrades that we're going to propose for our sewer, that has to be addressed. People have to know what that's costing. It's very serious.
Now, just from another thing, I know it was suggested by council to put down true costs. What we did was we did put down, we added in $1,500 for cost of postage. Now, that has never been put into the sewer budget before. We could take that out and then just quote it to admin like we always have. That's just another suggestion. And then if we took that out, that would be $9,000. Something else to think about.
Just one point, if I may, just to give you some comparators. So, for my cost in residential, at the moment, I am paying $503.20. This rise per year. This rise would boost that to $752.28, which is an increase of $250 more or less a year.
Now, Dave, I know you weren't here last meeting, but this is what we have provided for council, and it's just a little background on the sewer rates. So as you can see, from 2005 2011, there was no rate change. So, and then we started to do more increases from 2012 on. So really, from 2012 2014, we already jumped 20%. I don't know. I wasn't part of it. I don't know. Yeah, the council today, I don't know.
I think basically it wasn't running a deficit, so that's why it was stayed where it was. It didn't, maybe hindsight, yes, we should put more in reserve, but it wasn't running a deficit, so it stayed where it was. Yeah. Well, it's like, but can I ask?
Councilor McLaughlin.
You're talking about the postage.
Yeah.
So it goes out different postage from the tax bill.
No, we were just trying to get a true, accurate picture. So we were trying to put in, okay, it costs to send out water and sewer bills. So we're just allocating.
Okay. But my question was, they don't go out coherent with the tax bill. They're separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a quarterly billing cycle. It would have been nice, but
that's where I was coming from, to double it up so that the cost would be
lower.
Councilor Johnson.
I think with regards to the cost and why the rate didn't go up until 2011, Steve has been telling me that a lot of the items were going incomplete, and when Steve was hired, he did his due diligence and went and said that these items need to be repaired or replaced, and that's when you start repairing and replacing, an aged old building, and they're expensive are going to go up, and certainly, that's as a result, and that is as a result of why we're here now, and having to, hopefully we're successful in getting the grant for the sewer plant upgrade. But I think that's why the rates have gone for so long.
Just one other point, Councillor McLaughlin, to speak to your point too. There, in my mind, particularly as being a resident of Cobden, there is great value in staggering the bills that are coming out to people, tax and water and sewer. I think some people might have heart failure if they had to open the tax and water and sewer bill and find a way to pay them all at the same time.
Councillor Homestead.
So would you say that, just reading through the numbers here, for instance, the salary, is that your direct salary or your portion of salary? Right. So I'm just seeing a big increase from 2015, like a 50% increase from 2015 to 2014. Is that because you feel you do more?
Well,
with the possibility, Marcia, with the possibility of continuing the municipal class environmental assessment, doing the capped in place project, I'm going to be contributing a lot more this year towards sewer out of my salary.
So I completely understand that we need to get to utopia here, but I think I'd recommend that we put off that $50,000 phase 1 and phase 2. That's a big chunk. We're asking, we're a taxpayer, sorry, not the taxpayer in this case, but the water sewer user to take a 30% increase. We have a big police bill that's gonna come and hit them over the head too. So I think we need to look at that one, and that needs to be done in order to get the funding to move ahead with the project. But I think that's one item, one big ticket item we need to look at to put off until as long as we can in this case.
We could, in order to prepare to work with the sewer plant, if we get funding for it, we need to move forward with at least some of it. We can reduce it, but we should have something that we can offer. I think, I correct you?
If I could, I would like to continue with the monitoring portion of it so we could have another wet spring season, summer, and fall season of data to collect, which helps the engineers that may be looking into a new plant someday down the road. Yes.
I would have to go back and find the small communities, or look through that file. JP2G helped us put together the engineering portion of our application for the sewer plant rebuild funding, and there is a staggered timeline of, that the shovel doesn't hit the ground immediately. So there could be some catch-up next year, but I agree with Steve that there needs to be some continuity through. Do we know how much has already been spent on the phase 1 and 2?
2014, I believe I spent about $8,500 consultation services for the beginning, the onset of it. Some of that being the monitoring. I've continued the monitoring this spring until I'm told otherwise, because I think it's very valuable data to collect. With respect to continuing phase 1 and 2, I guess really the deal maker is going to be the funding application when we get an answer. I mean, we could put off any further consultation services with respect to public consultation, any further engineering, anything like that, or project management, I guess is what it would be at this point. But yeah, I mean, it can be drawn back for sure.
Councillor Jackson.
Can I make a suggestion that, and a question first, is when is the next sewer building go out?
The next one goes out, June. Now the meter is going out in April, but we're going to leave that rate that's just the same. And then, it would be June.
Can I make a suggestion that we table this, whether or not we take the $50,000 out of phase 1 and 2 out of the budget until we're supposed to receive notice for the SDF funding end of March, beginning of April. So certainly by May, we'd be able to set a rate and then and go forward from there and set this aside. I think, and if we don't get the funding, then we can make that decision. If we do get the funding, obviously we have to keep it in. But can I make that suggestion? Because until such time, we can't really say that we need to take it out or leave it in. We could here before the next billing.
Promised before that we would hear funding deadlines, and they've been extended for various reasons. But March, April was the window, so hopefully, yes.
I just wondering if it all worked out and we got the funding and we got it out over many, many years of kind of money, what the effect of the would be for that project. Because here we are spending $75,000 on something we're struggling to find out how we're going to pay for it. And is the number $3 million of 9 that we're talking about? So I wouldn't be real excited about spending $75,000 on a business plan for $3 million because there's not a very good hope on that one if this one is this much trouble. Like if we did not have the proper plan for what your sewer bill's going to be after we spend $3 million. I guess that's a question in the short term.
Not for the $3 million, no. I got the one for the $81,000. But that's just a matter of can find that information out very fast for $3 million.
I think we wouldn't be paying anything on that until 2016 in any event, and there was some adjustments going to take about 4 years to complete. You probably would need a construction loan and you pay on that through Infrastructure Ontario, and then it would be debentured over whatever years you can. Some of them can be debentured up to 30 and 40 years, so it's just the debenture cost itself, but it would be you're probably looking at around, up to $100,000 a year that you're spending on payments. But I don't think it's going to affect this year. It will not affect this year's sewer rate.
I understand that. I'm not thinking this year. I'm not thinking of 5 years down the road. I'm thinking what's going to happen 10 years down the road. I'm not saying it doesn't have to be done, Steve, like you're the expert, but it has to be done in one thing, paying for it is another. And I'm just saying that study should be done. You really did a job. Yeah.
I believe the answer, according to our boundary review, we will have a business plan in place before we proceed ahead with that. And it'll be a long-term plan. It would be our consultants' requirements to do that for us. And Christine, that's what you were going to say. Okay, and so that is Steve.
Thank you, Chair. Now, understand that if we get far enough along and we do get funding, the council has a choice whether they want to proceed with a new plant with redundancy, which is what the ministry will probably pressure the municipality to go with. But there always is an option as well of just reconditioning the current plant. you're probably still looking at $1 million. And you will have no redundancy, but it will have the best phosphorus removal system that money can buy because MOE will insist on that because of the state of our lake. So, either way, the plant has reached its useful, it's coming into the end of its useful life. Whether you build a $9 million plant, a $12 million plant, or we refurbish the 1.5 for $1 million, $1.5 million, these are the tough decisions that are coming up. And it's going to be painful for the users of the system to pay for it. It's the reality of it, though. And I'm not the expert. The engineers are the landfill manager. I'm not the expert in this by any means.
So, I took assume we made a case for refurbishing it cost us $1.5 million. Is it fair to assume that we possibly under the same application would be 1/3 for that? Or is that just for the new infrastructure deal at $9 million?
What I'd have to do, Reed Miller, is go back to FTF and talk to one of their analysts. And, usually if you can make a persuasive, logical case, there is some flexibility in the funding. One thing I will caution you, though, is that if we are successful, my past experience has taught me that if you are granted the money and you decline it, your next few grant applications will not apply.
I just would like to caution that if we do a refurbish of $1 million, that won't be $1 million bill. It'll likely be $3 million or $4 million because we do have to address, in order to do a refurbish, we have to address the problems that are causing us to have to do such big refit or going to a new one, whatever. We have huge connections, and in order to go to a retrofit with the ministry, I believe we will have to solve that problem before they even consider letting us go to a retrofit. So we have to do a lot of work. And that's part of the work we need to do now.
So, quick question. Does the $9 million job cover that extra that you're just talking about? The seeding system?
It will
That's for the whole 9 years. Everything's new.
No, it's a complete all. It's you have to do this cross-connection that is key.
In addition to the $9 million now.
Absolutely.
So in addition to the refurbish or in addition to the big deal.
That's correct. That's important to be known because the biggest contributor to the expense terms of the upgrade of the sewer system is cross-connection treating rainwater. The rainwater should be going into the sewer, the drainage system and into the lake, then the sewer system to be treated. And that's a huge expense at this point.
It's unaffordable.
Yep, but if we start now, the cost will be reduced very quickly by reducing the overloading. As we go, it will reduce quickly the cost of treatment. Then it will also help our maintenance budget. And it's key right now. To me, it's key that we start at that proceed.
I'd like to just add, I'm looking at the look on your face, and we are not alone struggling with this dilemma. Small municipalities, small communities, probably all over the world, are dealing with ancient infrastructure that hasn't been tracked, and really long-range planning has not been in place to deal with. And I know in New York they're blowing water mains, huge ones, every day. Everyone is struggling with this issue. And unfortunately for small communities, when the grant funding was available years ago, 36 years ago, to to build these plants from the feds in the province. Everybody was all, woohoo, let's build. But nobody was really thinking 38, 40 years out about what are we going to do when it's reached the end of its useful life and how will we possibly afford to replace it. So, while we're grappling with this, we are not alone in this, trying to solve this problem. Everybody's dealing with it.
That's why it's key to start this year doing a lot of what we need to do with advertisement and a lot of the bylaws and place that require that we don't have the cross connections. If we can educate the residents to take measures and not take the whole sewer, everything goes into the sewer, everything does not go into the sewer. We repair some of our infiltration, we check our manholes, make sure that they're not getting infiltration. If we cut down the loading by 10%, we'll probably cut down our cost of maintenance by up to 30%, and that all bears down quickly. So I think it's key that we hit it the right way. It's like throw a pebble in the bucket and stir it.
And I guess I still would like to table it until the beginning of May, the first meeting in May, and then hopefully we'll get an answer. Like Christine says, a lot of times we don't come out with the answer, but we may have a better understanding of it. And if the bill doesn't go out until June, then at least we have the opportunity to address that $50,000, whether we can take it out or leave it in at that time.
Councilor Step and Councilor Malone.
Yeah, I completely agree with Councilor with that. First of all, I think if they had up Ireland a bit more, but like understand the future a bit more as well. And I think that's a key part of understanding this.
Just to Martha, if we looked at, would you be able to find a figure then that would balance the budget? If the $50,000, not right today, but for the next meeting?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to make sure, did you want us to remove the 75 as well? Or? 75? Yeah. Yeah. At this time, so, okay.
57.5.
Yeah. And so, this is probably one of the hardest ones to come to council because I think, I don't know if whenever I look back and when we started, 2014 year at a deficit of $95,000, it was quite scary. So, anyways, we want to provide you guys with the best numbers that we could, what it costs as a bare bone operations, and I know the rates are high, or the projected rates could be high, and I know it's not fun for anybody, certainly not any users by any means, but this is the reality of it. We need to start somewhere. So.
Can I suggest to take it to $1,500 as well? That's administration.
Take it out? Okay.
I agree with Councilor Jen with regard to that. Next year, I'd like to see that.
Okay, no problem.
Sweet.
I'd just like to add a little further to what Marcia just said. It seems like it's bare bones. It's truly not. I mean, this is a budget. This is what it takes to cover the operations portion and the administration portion of running a sewer plant. But it's also got thrown in there are representative of a certain situation. So, you're budgeting more for emergency, like $7,500 just in case. You're budgeting for consultation to maybe someday achieve a new plant and deal with a serious infiltration problem. So, since 2011, it's still declining. But you know what? We're identifying the issues, and we have to do that for community. We have to do it. So, if you want to just operate the plant, you can reduce this. But that's just a move in the wrong direction.
I agree.
Just one last point, Mayor. I think as we move forward with an education program for the community, it's going to be crucial that people understand that unlike slightly larger communities of 5,000 people, 7,000, 10,000 people sharing the cost, we only have 1,000 people sharing the cost. And that, on top of all of our other problems, it just exacerbates the entire issue. But that is the reality.
That's why it's so important we get everybody on board as soon as possible. Because it's the best of everybody in the system. Look at that. It's a huge benefit to everybody in the system. So, all right.
Thank you.
Quite well. Thank you. I presume we're going to do as suggested by Eric and then go forward to the May. Okay. Thank you. We're all set with that. We'll move on to prayer meetings, delivery of the agenda, recorded of move protest, of motions from Councilor McLaughlin and Darrell McLaughlin. Councilor Darrell, why don't you speak to that?
Well, there's with the prayer. Like we had discussions I don't know, and I'll ask this question. Christine, with last year, did we not have a discussion over the prayer, which came to council, and council were the ones that decided.
So go back and go through the records and look that up. It's either everything's before it's within the last 2 years.
It's within the last 2 years. It was a decision of council, not of one person, and that's the part that I have no problem. I don't care which way it's decided. I think it should be decided as a whole. It is where my concern is. And that's what I thought forward. When we did, just to give you past history, and Councilor Riviere will remember, but when we decided to leave it in, the mayor would say, we are going to recite prayer whether you want to or not, because there was thought that there may be people that didn't want to, and they don't have to. In my mind, it doesn't, it's personal preference, if you want to or if you don't. And so that's where the discussion came from, and the mayor would say that the past practice was that when we were to do the prayer, and that came out, and I know it came from a discussion that was done at a workshop. Is that not correct?
Already did that. Okay. I would respectfully ask anyone else to conflict. I would like to make that motion. I would like to make a motion that we say the Lord's Prayer and or have a minute of silence and or say the prayer is presented forward as per a rotation. It may be whatever order that we can do different things with our prayer. And I'm looking for a seconder.
paper?
Yes.
Okay.
Councillor Clark.
Well, we're working on this, because I'd like to maybe ask, I mean, I know that in Westmead, they used to do the Lord's Prayer, and then it was decided that they wouldn't do the Lord's Prayer. I don't know the reasoning behind it, and I wondered if in Ross, if you know whether in Ross, if they did the Lord's Prayer, or if there was a prayer before the council meeting. I know it's on I was here, I've been here. We've done the reciting the prayer that we have been doing up until. That was not the nomination. Yeah. Just ask.
I've not found that we did recite the Lord's Prayer at Merchant Valley.
You are all aware of the issues of the county with this bridge. Okay. Yeah, he come up today to present his speech on the Whitney. Very, very, very strong commitment to democracy. One person in democracy does not change the law for all. Okay, so where'd that go?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay, moving on. Mayor Johnson, seconded by Jackson, we resolved that the council petition of what we agree that the Lord's Prayer and moment of silence will be rotated with other prayers at council meetings. All of those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor Peter?
I'm a little confused, but not rotating. Like, do you mean coming around the table rotating, or does rotating be prayers? Okay.
We might have to say one of them who don't rule it out.
All those, do that again. All those in favor? Carried.
Looking at my tummy. Oh, for sure.
That again, delivery of the next item, over to Councilor McLaughlin.
It's concerned on why we change it now. We're going to get them, see them on Fridays. So in our, I think in our bylaw it says 48 hours before a meeting we're to get them.
Minimum.
Yeah, I'll just once again, I don't know the why. It was all of a sudden they started coming.
Councilor Jackson.
Councilor McLaughlin, I had requested that if I get my underrated vehicle I would be able to read it. I have council meeting at my place of work on Tuesday, and I'm unable to read the documentation prior to Wednesday night meeting. They just come out on night. If I have something on, I'm just not able to. So Friday night, is helpful, at least on the weekend, and I think it's very helpful for all council to have more than 2 nights to be able to read through all the documentation that we've been getting lately. And I think staff for accommodating that fact, and it has been very helpful.
I'm going to have to do that eventually. Any other questions? That's not a no. Good. However,
As long as council is in an agreement, I guess maybe it doesn't make any difference, because if it's at 48 hours or minimum, then if nobody else, and I'm having problems with these things. It's just, I like to see them come and be discussed, and then put into practice. That's my way of thinking. The problems that come Friday, that's fine with me. It'll be good if we don't next week is be Good Friday. We'll be coming up with Good Friday at that holiday.
I'm going to bring forward again the idea of iPods, or we'll have to address that into which if it's okay.
Erica and Margaret have been to Orangeville, or no, Danny and Erica have gone to speak to Ayla, who runs the system. I have concerns that we'll be drafting a report to come to council. Definitely it needs to be discussed in budget. I'm just a little worried about the load on staff as we get over the hump and the learning curve. We don't particularly have a young, great IT person on staff. I'm sure we can figure this out and take the training. People I've talked to love it once they get it in place and get used to it. And it will be a learning curve for all of us.
Councillor Jacqueline?
Can I suggest that you do it in phased in, that you use the iPad and you use Adobe, you create the documents in Adobe and email them out, so we actually have them PDF'd, and then if we have them like that, we can set that up directly to receive Whitewater emails. I find it in my computer at home, it doesn't work very often, so I am checking if I have my computer at home, I'm checking it on there, or during the day at lunch, I'm checking my emails. So it would be nice to have it on an iPad, and then it is going to take some time to set up the iCompass part of it, and it's at least 6 months to set that up to make it work properly, to get all the steps in place, but certainly an iPad with just whatever staff needs that's professional Adobe would be, you're going to need it anyways for the iCompass, so it's a step, and then in 2016 we can look at actually incorporating it with iCompass.
Christine?
Thank you. So if we look at them that way, that would mean we'd be budgeting for the hardware in 2015, and we'd be budgeting for the software and whatever required tech support in 2016 to help us get where we need to go. So that makes sense.
I think, to me, like, open the numbers of paper, which is quite an expense. Now, we've got mail-lady going out, and if we do it with iPads, like, it should be just put it together and push the button once you get onto it without an Adobe. And it's like to end a couple of things and start to the prime minister, but it comes from a lot.
I don't know where we're coming with this discussion. I just asked about the agenda.
transpired into something because of the meeting agendas and topics and whatever the space that we're
Mayor, I was just looking at the time.
perfect. All right. The next one is record vote process, which we will establish the question during the last council meeting, and I will explain that I backed out of the position that was that I would vote at the last. And after this automatic refusal of vote turns automatically to an ANC under the vote, I voted, and I wanted to explain that. But you go ahead, Earl. You can talk about it.
You certainly totally lost me, because I read this and it says go counterclockwise is what it says.
Which is counterclockwise.
Well, it,
Which is clockwise.
well, whether you did clockwise or what, it does mean in here somewhere that the vote will be counterclockwise.
Yes. That's exactly right.
With the mover. Is that not right? Is that the correct way? All the clarification. I know how we used to do it, and we went.
Currently, within procedural, be bad, we just did clockwise as opposed to counterclockwise. If you wish, I can't stress enough, council, that the procedural bylaws are your rules for your meeting, which you can change up any way you wish, if you wish to. But what we should be following is the procedures that are outlined here. So if you wish changes, that's councils. In the procedural bylaw, it's noted that the head of council votes last, so that that person can function, so that the chair can function as the tiebreaker if needed. But that the vote goes clockwise, counterclockwise, you pick, starting with the mover, and then the chair votes last. And if that's how you want it to be reflected, we can make an amendment.
Councillor Mackay.
Well, when you do that, don't you have to vote all the time? It's almost every vote does
Doesn't matter what vote you do now, David, and that's up to that. If you follow the procedure I'm following right now, you know that I never vote. I assume I vote under that right. But if there was a tie, whenever we come to when I would then put my hand up and vote. Okay? But if I request vote at the last to be a tiebreaker, then it will be always at every recorded vote. I will be.
As a matter of procedure, though, Mr. Chair, if you don't vote, it is considered to be a no.
That's correct, but exactly.
So in the procedural bylaw, where does it say the chair votes? Because it doesn't address it in the vote, the municipal law covering the member council.
That's one vote.
Yes. When does the chair said something about the chair vote last?
Some councils do it that way. Just fine. They're procedural. Okay. So you set the rule on how you want to.
Yeah. And I think out there with regard to how he voted, Councillor McLaughlin, was that even though he did pass on the vote and asked to be voting last, he still voted nay. His vote would have been recorded as nay because he passed on the vote, and he voted nay, so that vote was correct. So there was, it was just what was perceived rather than, so I think if we follow the rules, I don't know exactly what the rules are. I was right on my desk here, so we're going to report the vote again. We should have reminded. I think we can go on.
I'm just to when I chair the meeting as mayor, and I'm going around and I call for all those in favor, all those opposed, if I do not put my hand up, that's an affirmative in all those situations in the municipal act. That, in a recorded vote, it's the other way. I read that.
That's not my understanding.
But I believe that's correct. But that's never been Bill, Council.
Just one clarification. Tonight when we did the recorded vote, you started with the mover of the motion. If not the mover of, not the person that requested the recorded vote?
Our procedural bylaw.
Oh, okay.
The clerks will call the members and a counter-clockwise, and I made a mistake. I admit it should have been counter. We went clockwise. Order starting with the individual council member that moved the motion.
I'll give you my pants. Okay. Just for clarification, move the motion for the recorded vote or move the motion for discussion?
There's only one mover and seconder.
Okay.
The recorded vote is a request.
Request? Oh, okay, because we've always done it the opposite way, and we always, and again, right, we always started with the person that requested the recorded vote and went from there. That's the way we do it. But I do see exactly what you're saying, so that then we just need clarification. That's what I need.
Then I'm going to still throw it out there. I would like to vote in all cases last, and if that just needs to have we don't need a bylaw, we just need to have we need to amend. Yeah.
Like I said, it's simple.
Yeah. If that's agreed by council to be all right, then we can amend it. Now I have another question. If that is the case, I know that that's the case of the mayor, that was the case of chairs. Okay, so that we make sure that that's in there too. The chair would vote last year. Alright. Training staff and development policy. Yeah, I know, I was hoping to remember that. It's the topics for April 8th in service council staff training session. I would just like to have staff and as many councillors that attend to sit down, not at a meeting, but at a discussion so that we all know these on like a team discussion.
But it was what has been requested of me so far, in my understanding, is that a closed session meeting with council and staff. Now, I am comfortable going into a closed session meeting without agenda topics.
Well, we don't actually.
But if it is closed session, it has to be under. There are very specific rules for going into closed, and that would be training and education would be the only one that would qualify. So.
But in the municipal act, we can do this so that going into closed session, we can do it as a training session and do it as an informal. We have the right to have a talk to staff and so forth without going into a closed session. We just don't have. We can advertise it. We can not advertise it. This will be in the morning. I believe that's within the scope of the municipal act to do that.
I'm not familiar with that.
Well, throw it back out a different way. We want to do that, or we're not going to do that? Because if we're going to do that, then we'll do it before that. If we're not going to do it, but my idea was to put council and staff in the same room and just do a team topic that we would in a private interview all the time. You talk with your people and you're open and what's your concerns? What do you expect of me? What do I expect of you? Councilor Raker.
Case like that, there's often facilitators. So would you have a facilitator that would kind of lead the conversation, or you're leading the conversation?
I can lead the conversation.
So are you looking for a discussion with council and staff to for direction, or for? I'm just confused.
I'll give you an example. I've been asking for our staff to buy something they can by pricing within a municipality. So that's one of the things that we want to see. There there's a lot of asses being made out of us, and so or can be. So it's a team conversation. So where each other is coming from, but a team discussion is more or less what I had in mind all along. Not really a you guys have to do. We're going to do this. You're going to do that. And
Just a word of caution then, because it's my job. Because quorum will be present, you have to be very cautious that you're not significantly advancing the business of the municipality and making decisions in that regard at this meeting, if it's not a public meeting. Councillor, here.
I would think so. I would think it was, I think Harold's intent, and I have no idea, but from what I gather, when I say conversation, scary, he just want to raise expectations, and we want to know what staff's expectations are of council, and council's expectations are. Is that what you want, or?
absolutely.
I have no idea, but.
We do that in the industry all the time. We do that 2-3 times a month.
And staff has any questions, like you said about the purchases, if there's questions for clarification, what our expectations are, is that what you want, or?
Just talk. Just so we all would have a truth.
Like, get to know your counselor and staff.
Let's do that again.
Terry wants red wine.
Well, we can have red wine as long as after 11. Whitewater beer is a good idea. So, that was my attention. At the beginning, I didn't explain it very well, because all the times when you're doing something, you're going by what you're used to, and you just assume everybody else understands. But that's all it is. Well, I'm going to get coffee for an hour. Maybe donuts. Everybody shoot the breeze.
What time did we want to do this? I know that Councillor Jackson had mentioned earlier that either first thing in the morning or later.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm going to off that. Well, I'm thinking that we're going to do it. Let's do it. Yeah, what date? Can we get another day? 9:30, Darryl? I'm just looking at an hour. I'm just looking at an hour. 9:30. Does it have to be on the Wednesday? Does it have to be? That's kind of day. Are you okay? Okay, perfect. Okay.
Just tell me. We're going to have to extend again.
We're done. We're done.
Okay. Tell me when you want it.
So this
Is it going to be April 8th at 9:30?
definitely. It's
I thought I was
we're at number hope to Mitch announcements. Have we got any council announcements? Dave? Everybody for the card from the staff. Okay, you're welcome. Okay. No motion for okay, Councilman Collins, right.
Let everybody know that the Horsemen's Association are putting on breakfast this Sunday at 9.
They're here. Okay. Number 13. I just would like to bring up I would like to bring Sam Green to a council meeting and present him whether we have a school in his honor. He is a gentleman that competed in the Paralympics in Toronto. And Connie, do you know who actually did? I'm sorry, I feel kind of there. Anyway, he is very into community involvement and so forth with young people.
Sally made up a beautiful plaque with his pictures, they're Haldenside, and we're calling him a community champion. And she's inviting him for either the 1st or the 15th, if he can make it for either of those Thursdays.
That's 100%. Thank you. Anything else on that? Moved by Caroline Tucker, seconded by Crystal Deputy Revolve, that Council of the Township of Whitewater Region approves that the following bylaws be introduced at council, numbered signed by the mayor and clerk and sealed in the record, recorded in the bylaw book for 1503-79, constitution bylaw discussion. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Gotcha. Moved by Carol Jackson, by be available to council Whitewater Region meeting on March 27th at 10. All those in favor, discussion and carried. That's the one we're looking for. What page do we got here? I have requests. I have to go